Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order and do the land acknowledgement. The municipality of Dysart acknowledges that we are on the traditional territory known as the Williams Treaty First Nations, which includes Curve Lake, Hiawatha, Alderville, Scugog Island, Rama, Boswell, and Georgina First Nations. And we thank those nations for their care and stewardship as they pass through our lands. Okay, we have a resolution then to adopt the agenda.
Yeah, be it resolved that the agenda for the regular meeting of the Council of the Municipality of Dysart et al. Held on October 22nd, 2024 be approved as presented.
Mover and seconder. Pat and Nancy, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Any disclosures of pecuniary interest or general nature? Being none, adoption of the minutes, resolution.
Be it resolved that council approves the following meeting minutes as circulated: regular meeting of council September 24th, public meeting September 24th, and special meeting of council October 8th.
Okay, mover and seconder. Walt and Carm, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, any reports from Deputy Mayor?
The fundraiser out at Sir Sam's on Saturday was a big success. Chris Bishop and all the fundraising committee did a great job. I think they raised $70,000 to $75,000, and it was really well organized. And it was a really live auctioneer. He did a tremendous job. So a real positive night for the fundraising. Thank you.
I'd just like to mention the renovation of the tank across the way here. Councillor Casey was there and he did some work on it, and I have to tell you, there was I think they said there was 1,200 volunteer hours, which is amazing, and even the cadets were part of it. So a great project, and kind of an honor to have restored in the community. So we can move along then to general delegations. Are you Mr. Ashfield? Okay. Maybe I'll just let you come up here and make your case, and then we'll have some questions for you, I'm sure. Just need to press the button there and you can get the volume up.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor and members of council. Thank you for the opportunity to come here and talk to you about my issue. This is what I would like to achieve through my deputation, if not today, sometime in the near future. I'd like to allow for the municipality to allow me to keep my gazebo shade as is on my deck. The municipality to revise the shore bylaw 05120 to allow similar items in this shoreline setback. So remove the confidentiality wording from the complaint mechanisms. We constructed the gazebo to provide protection from the sun, particularly for our 3- and 6-year-old grandchildren. We have tried different umbrella systems with the result of them blowing over with the wind. It's quite strong down by the dock. The last umbrella came crashing down on top of my son and his pregnant wife, knocking them on the head and pushing them into the lake. The gazebo is 4 posts with a roof that is held down to the deck with 3 screws in the bottom of each of the legs. The gazebo roof is paramount in providing shade from the sun, preventing skin cancer in young and old people alike. We have tried sunscreen, but the kids are in and out of the lake so fast, it wears off. I've talked with the president of the COA that sent in a letter that was attached to the February staff report with regards to the bylaw. And he assured me that the purpose was to notify the county that they needed to follow up a process to change the bylaw. Not that they were against it. He confirmed that the request that the county had requested a poll, the membership to get their opinion. It indicated that the association was awaiting more information from the county to clarify what changes they're being proposed. I indicated that the February staff report pretty well lays out what the town is proposing. There was no comment. My son posted on a Facebook page about the complaint in the following order from the municipality. We received over 100 replies in support on Facebook. I was informed by the municipality that the Facebook support was not an acceptable form, but I understand the clerk had circulated the members' council. So thank you for that. So we started a petition to indicate support, and we have over 160 signatures in support of changing the bylaw. Nobody has raised any concerns. A lot of people think that this needs to be fixed. I visited all my neighbors and asked if they had a problem with the gazebo. Many of those have signed the petition, and others have stated they don't have any problem. There's no immediate complaint from the neighbors. I requested information with respect to the complaint and was told that the town would not provide that. I went through the Freedom of Information Act to get an idea. I'd like to talk to the individual and find out what his problem is with my gazebo. I've appealed this to the IPL commissioner for Ontario, and we're awaiting a mediator to be assigned to the file. I would like to talk to the complainant to find out the problem and perhaps resolve the issue. Does he not like the color of the gazebo? Brown? Do I need to paint it green or blue? I have commissioned a planning report that I'll be submitting to the municipality that demonstrates the gazebo fits into the approved policies.
You got anything new to add to this now?
No, that's pretty well it. I was just going to repeat what I'd like to,
Okay, what
Have
size
come out
is your
of this.
gazebo?
pardon?
What size is it?
8 by 10,
8 by 10?
8 by 12.
8 by, oh, so you don't know. And is it on the dock or is it on behind the dock?
It's on the dock.
It's on the dock. So, okay, and is your lot steep or is it flat?
Oh, it's very steep.
So
To
then
move
you
it off
could-
the dock, I would have to
you
lift
could-
it.
You could block the view from a neighbor then looking down the lake, couldn't you?
I'm in the back of the bay. All the neighbors
But
look
if-
out on the
If
lake.
that were allowed everywhere, that's what could be the result,
Perhaps.
yeah.
But I did talk to my neighbors and none of them complained, so
Well, I have to tell you, Facebook doesn't mean a whole lot to council, because we get it all the time and people join in and that's what they do. But anyway, we are entertaining changing that, but there is a process. won't happen overnight, I don't think. And Jeff, what is the process? Is it an official plan amendment?
Yeah, thank you. So if council would like to consider approval of this structure, it would be a site-specific zoning bylaw amendment. If council's looking at changing our policies, yes, there would be changes to the official plan and to the zoning bylaw.
So Murray, just to clarify, this isn't out on your dock, this is on the deck at shore, correct?
Correct.
Right, so it's not
Because he
out,
said it was on the dock.
it is, but the dock's attached to shore, it's not out 30 feet in the water, it's at the shoreline.
I have a pier that's on 6x6s.
Okay.
And that's, I call it a dock, it's a deck. And then I have a ramp down to the dock because
And that's where the
It's-
gazebo is, it on that dock?
on the pier
Okay,
at the shore.
all right, I understand. And does that require the county to do an official plan amendment as well? Jeff?
I'm not aware of an amendment to the county's official plan to permit this structure. If we were to change our official plan to permit these structures on all properties, the county would be the approval authority, so those changes would have to comply with their official plan. But I still don't think it needs an amendment to their official plan.
But they still need to approve it, right?
Correct, they are the approval authority for Dysart's official plan amendments.
So tell me a time frame, an estimate of the time frame that you think to do all this.
And can you just clarify, excuse me, through you, Mayor, can you clarify, like, to change our policies? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, change the policy to allow gazebos on the shoreline.
It's hard for me to answer that. I don't know until we got into the weeds of exactly what type of policy are changing. So one of the primary objectives of our official plan right now is natural looking shorelines and no structures within the water setbacks. So to make a change to these policies, I feel would be a drastic change to our official plan. So we could be looking at quite an extensive change, which could take some time.
Like months.
At minimum.
So Jeff, the proposal that we put up, or you brought to us months ago, if we'd stuck with that proposal, is there a time frame roughly that would be?
If I recall correctly, we didn't quite narrow down what changes council was looking at. I think that's what we need to look at first, is we need to determine the scope of changes. Yeah, it's hard to say. The amendment process doesn't take that long once we've defined what we want to do. It's just a matter of going through the public consultation process, having our public meeting, and then sending it to the county as the approval authority.
So before, we were talking about saunas and sheds and gazebos, so.
Allow one of the three.
Yeah.
Yeah, allow 1 or 3 on the water setback
Yeah.
only.
If we were just doing gazebos, might be a different story.
They couldn't be out on a dock out into the lake, so it couldn't obstruct view from either side.
But does that count? Like this gentleman has
Well, to
on
me,
the
that's
shore-
attached to shore.
That's attached to shore.
By the look of the pictures, yes,
Yeah.
that's my opinion too. So, I don't, you guys were up ahead of me here, but we haven't really done anything. We haven't, so the first step is for us to decide what we want. Okay, well, I'd like to see us at least attempt to do that here sooner than later. It sounds like we've talked about this, but now months have gone by and nothing's happened, so rightly or wrong, right or wrong, we gotta make a decision.
We'll find out in the public process.
Exactly. Yeah.
Whether this gentleman's entirely right or whether. he
Yep,
may be-
well, let's, in my opinion, let's get at that,
Well,
then. Let's,
Yeah, just looking at this, I'm looking at the picture right now. I mean, what difference is that than the size of these umbrellas that we can buy today? I mean, to me, that looks pretty nice. I mean, yeah.
Stable.
It's stable and like, I mean, there's so much, you know, you go around every lake and there's umbrellas today that could cover a good part of this table. And, I mean, I'm not in favor of, say, you having your gazebo out on the end of your dock there, sir. But, something like this, to me, it's common sense today. This is, you know, times have changed. So, something like that, I think that if we did change this policy, that municipality would have some comments in regard to size but to me, that's no different. That's better than a big umbrella sitting there. It's not affecting the shoreline, the looks of it or anything. It's not like it's a bright color that you're out in the middle of the lake and you say, well, that's Walt's place. It's yellow, big yellow blob out there. So I have no problem with that at all.
Well, those are the things that need to be decided.
Exactly. Like Barry was saying, we should sit down and discuss a lot of issues and what we would think would be acceptable. Because we are gonna have some kickback for sure, but to me, like the gentleman, he made some good points there about we're trying to stay out of the sun, and so some positives there. Thank you.
So Walt pretty much covered what I said. So to Jeff through you, we would have to decide how far out it can be, the size it can be. Would they be like a site specific that they would have to be approved before they were constructed? To ensure that they're not obstructing views and those sorts of things? Last thing you want is to have an open policy and then two neighbors start, you know, being unhappy because their view is obstructed.
Well, if it's attached to the dock at the shore, it can't be out too far, but on the same note, we're trying to resolve.
Yeah, but I don't
Repeat.
want to open a bigger can of worms. So we have to have very, very rigid sort of guidelines to have this policy put into place.
I agree.
Our umbrella would be the same.
We'll be in a 10 by 10 area, whether it's a hot tub or a shelter or whatever, or a pump house or whatever that turned out to be. Tammy, you got some places out near you that are pretty steep to the lake, right? So when can we sit down and figure this out? We've been batting it around for a while. I thought it was underway, to be honest with you, anyway.
Would council like to direct staff to bring forward amendments to the official planning and zoning bylaw to allow structures in the water setback?
Absolutely.
Decide if we want more of them to be.
Murray, I can't hear you. I don't know if you're too far away from your mic or if it's off.
Do we have to decide what we want specifically?
Yeah.
If we want to allow saunas on the lake, within that step back, you are going to get a lot of pushback, I can tell you that.
Yeah, and so when you bring forward a zoning bylaw amendment, official plan amendment, that's when the public process opens up, and I think council's gonna get a pretty good idea of what people think about it. So that's a way to do it, right? You go through the public process and you hear what people have to say on all sides.
If it was saunas, hot tubs, or a storage shelter on land is one thing, and a sunshade on the dock, to me, is another one. And then size, my own opinion, 10 by 10 covers pretty much everything they're gonna do there.
Yeah.
To keep it straight and forward.
Color, do you want to talk?
I don't
address
think it
color?
should be, I think it should, the color should blend in with the natural colors around it.
So
whether-
green or blue or something.
Not hot pink. Right,
Jeff has-
anything to add?
Yeah, I think that, you know, now you're getting into saunas and hot tubs and to me, there should be a setback for them, but, and not on the water at all, but the gazebo, I don't have any problem with it as long as they're not on docks. Because that is no different than an umbrella, as far as I'm concerned. And I know saunas, I'm not saying every sauna that's on the lake today, on our lakes, it looks like a shed or an outhouse, but there's a lot of them out there that we'd have a say in how they're designed and, you know, and in regard to the hot tubs, it's the same thing. As long as they're not, if they're kind of had some kind of a buffer around them of trees and that, so they weren't really visible, but they would definitely have to be a setback from the water.
Depends how they're drained too. If they drain into the lake, that's not good.
So,
Well, most people who own them today, the ones that I've been dealing with, say that they're addressing that totally.
So really, we need to sit down. How do we go about this to make sure now
Well,
that
they
we
can bring to the next meeting, they can bring a proposal and then we can
Okay, and then we can go
have the
over,
discussion on.
we can have the discussion and we can go over what rules and regulations we want to see in place.
Yeah.
Okay, now, in the
then-
meantime, how do we deal with this gentleman's, like, is there a possibility that we could defer what is going on
can
with him until we make some decisions here? Is that
I think
possible?
we can defer it, but remember, to get an approval, we're gonna be 6 months to a year out. If we go through an official plan amendment.
He doesn't have any complaints from anybody yet, is there?
No, I don't.
So
Sorry, this started with complaints.
Yes. it
Oh,
did.
I mean, like.
Yeah, so there's gonna be members, there's gonna be people, who put in the complaints who are going to be at staff about what's being done with this situation. So that's something for council to keep in mind.
Well, then can we say to those people then that we're gonna address it, or we're starting the process right now, we're gonna address it, we're gonna maybe speed it up a little bit if we can, and then we'll make that decision. At the end, the decision will be made whether they're allowed or not allowed.
You defer till May.
Jeff, what's the appropriate planning? Just because this is the zoning bylaw is heavily regulated through the province. So it's important that we follow the process with that. What's your thoughts on that, Jeff?
Well, I do want to manage council's expectations. I can certainly bring back a report next month. But before getting into details, we do have to review our overarching policy being our official plan. And as I mentioned, like the primary objectives of that plan right now are natural looking shorelines. So we could be looking at a drastic change to our official plan, comprehensive reviews to our official plan, or even maybe a new official plan typically take about 2 years. So it all depends on the level of change council's looking to implement. But I do want to manage your expectations on timeframes for this. Money was budgeted for 2024. I should just like to remind council to begin this process if that's what they're looking to do.
Your Honor? Could we make a specific policy just to deal with like gazebos or sunshades?
I think that's something we'd have to go back and review. There are policies in our current official plan that allow certain structures on certain lakes near shorelines, subject to some strict conditions such as site plan control, purchasing your shore road allowance, zoning amendments. So it's an expensive process for applicants to do that. But if council would like to allow these as a blanket policy on all properties, I think we're looking at a pretty big change to our policies.
Jeff, my own opinion there with our policies, the natural looking shorelines, either to me, we just got to start telling people to take a lot of stuff off the shores or whatever. I don't, in my own opinion, I don't view a a hot tub or a sauna or whatever back behind the ribbon of life or a sunshade to be too damning. As compared to a boathouse or something large that's constructed on water. I don't think it's a conflict at all in my own opinion, but anyway.
I think that when you're talking about the shoreline, Jeff. I mean, this gentleman's gazebo there, like I say, it looks pretty natural to me. Would you rather see a big bright yellow or purple or, a real bright color that would just stick right out? Like that blends in right in with the shoreline. I don't.
Well,
Like,
just to answer that, again, I am not a policy
what we're
maker
kind of
or
saying here
decision
is,
maker.
like, these people are gonna tell us that if that's not okay, the guy who has the bright yellow umbrella is not okay.
Yeah, I don't think Jeff has an opinion on it because he's just following the policies that council sets. So it's up to you guys for sure.
So bring us back something and give us a chance to review it. Can
Yep,
you tell
sounds
us
good.
what official plan amendment, if we had to do a complete one, might cost? I think we're talking $60,000.
Yeah, I'll try and look for some cost. Yep.
In the meantime, Murray, what can we do for this gentleman to be compliant? Can we give him
I think
6
it's the
months?
time of the year. He's probably all right now.
Well, no, it's got to go now, does it not? You've got an order
Oh, you
removed,
got an
correct?
order, have you? So you were gonna leave it there all year, do you?
Yeah, well, I just put it in.
Oh, you did? And you didn't, I guess you didn't inquire whether you could or not. Okay, okay. All right, okay.
Does Haley have any input on what else can take place with the order?
Morning. We do have the ability to put the file on hold. This would be a kind of special circumstance, but in other situations, we have zoning files that are placed on hold when the property owner is seeking an official plan amendment, or if they're seeking a minor variance, we place the file on hold. We don't close it, but it's just kind of sits there until the decision is made. That's something we can do for this file as well. If we're looking to change the official plan to allow for this to exist, then I can place it on hold until that decision is made.
That'll let you leave it there. Okay, is that okay?
So I'll read a resolution if that's okay with everyone. That kind of covers what we've talked about.
Do you wanna- Can you leave that with us then? Planning report?
I can, I don't have any transmittal letter, but I have the report.
Well, maybe some member of staff will make you a copy, some copies.
Okay,
If you
well,
go-
I can do that, or I can send it in
Whatever's good for
on
you.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Actually, from the author,
Okay,
who is a registered planner as well.
okay, we'll do that then.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Yes, resolution, Mallory.
Okay, be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the delegation from David Ashfield regarding zoning order to comply P01 ZB 2024-031. And further direct staff to bring forward amendments to the official plan and the zoning bylaw to allow structures in the water setback. And further directs that zoning order to comply P01 ZB 2024-031 be placed on hold at this time.
Mover and seconder, Nancy and Carm, all in favor? Carried. Okay, thank you. Okay. Next, are these people joining us, or are they going to Zoom in? They're going to Zoom in? Okay, I think there's more than one joining, isn't there? No, there's two,
Yes.
three?
Yep.
There we go. Okay, who's going to speak for the delegation here? Who's going to start?
That would be me, Mr. Mayor.
Okay,
Okay, good morning, Mr. Mayor and members of council. My name is Sam Araste from Ara Design in Toronto. I am the designer and authorized agent for this project. I'm here today to present a proposal for converting the flat roof of the restaurant located at 126 Highland Street into a seasonal rooftop deck. The purpose of this project is to create a seasonal outdoor dining space on the rooftop of the one-story restaurant building. The property currently includes a ground floor restaurant with an outdoor patio located at the front and a second floor residential dwelling. The existing restaurant has an occupancy load of 100 patrons and 12 staff. Our proposed rooftop patio will increase the occupancy load of the restaurant to accommodate 140 patrons and 10 staff during the summer season. It is important to note that the interior 100% occupancy load for the restaurant will remain unchanged for winter time. The issue we are addressing today relates to how the planning department has interpreted this project within the existing zoning bylaw. They have classified the rooftop deck as part of the restaurant's gross floor area, which would trigger additional parking requirements. However, we believe that this interpretation does not align with the bylaw's definition and does not account for the seasonal unenclosed nature of the rooftop deck. Let me explain why we believe the rooftop patio should not be counted in the GFA. The zoning bylaw defines GFA as the total area of all floors in a building measured between the exterior walls. It specifically excludes patio, decks, and verandas that are not enclosed. Additionally, the bylaw defines a deck or patio as a structure that is not enclosed and is used for an outdoor living area. The rooftop deck that we are proposing fits this definition. It is unenclosed with only exterior staircase for access and will be used for outdoor dining during the summer times. For reference, the front ground floor patio, which is unenclosed, is not counted in the GFA, even though it's considered part of the restaurant. We believe the same reasoning could apply to the rooftop patio, as it will not increase the overall building space in the way an enclosed structure would. In terms of design decisions, we initially considered adding an interior staircase to access the rooftop and a food preparation room and a storage room on the second floor. However, after reviewing the zoning bylaw and in an effort to minimize the impact on GFA and parking, we decided to cancel these additions. We have opted for an exterior staircase instead, and we rely on the existing ground floor kitchen for food preparation and storage, which further emphasize that this is seasonal, unenclosed space and does not contribute to the building's GFA. Now let me address the concerns around the parking and the occupancy load. The planning department has expressed concern about the potential increase in the restaurant's occupancy load due to the rooftop conversion and has suggested that more parking spaces would be needed. Currently, the property has 45 parking spaces, including 18 on-site and 20 off-site. According to the zoning bylaw, parking requirements for restaurant are calculated based on either GFA or occupancy load, whichever results in a higher number of spaces. The zoning bylaw requires 1 parking space for every 4 patrons that use the restaurants. Considering that we currently have 43 parking spaces available to the restaurant, we can easily accommodate up to 172 people in this restaurant. The proposed increase to 140 patrons will remain well within the limit. Therefore, no additional parking should be necessary. However, based on the planning department calculation, if the council decides that the rooftop patio is part of the GFA, we would need to purchase an additional 20 off-site parking spaces due to the increase in GFA of almost 160 square meters. This requirement would be subject to availability and could cost my client anywhere from $20,000 to $80,000. This cost would be significant for my client, and such a large expense may affect their decision to proceed with the rooftop patio. Before bringing our project to this council meeting, we held a meeting with the planning department staff in an attempt to resolve the issue. During the meeting, the planning department informed us that they would follow the direction of this council in interpreting whether the rooftop patio should be considered part of the GFA or not. If the council decides that the rooftop patio is not part of the GFA, the planning department has confirmed that they would accept our proposal and the existing parking spaces would remain without requiring additional spaces. To sum up, we believe the rooftop patio should not be included in the GFA calculation because it fits a bylaw definition of an enclosed deck or patio. Additionally, the current parking is sufficient to accommodate the proposed increase in occupancy. And we have taken steps to ensure that our design remains in compliance with the zoning regulation. We are hopeful that the council can help us find a solution here that balances the needs of the property owner and the municipality building department. As I mentioned earlier, if this rooftop patio is counted as part of the GFA, my client may need to purchase 20 additional off-site parking spaces at a cost that could severely impact the project's viability. Thank you everyone for your time and consideration. I'm happy to answer any question, provide further clarification regarding this project.
That was easy. Okay, I have to ask you, you said there's 18 parking spaces at the back?
Yes.
I don't know how you'd come up with that. when I talked to, I think it was Veronica last year, and said, can you put a few handicap spaces back there? She said, no, because I need it all for storage or for garbage bins. And I haven't been back in there, but I don't know how you put 18 in there and get them out. Have to back out.
I'm
So
sorry.
anyway.
I'm sorry, our first question was in regards to the interpretation of the patio being a patio or the GFA. Our
And then-
first question is that, and I'm sorry, I do not recall answering that question. It was in regards to our first building permit, and 18 spaces were in there, and we'd certainly be open to that.
Well, they billed you half of what could have been. Anyway, you say you have 45 spaces other than, did you say you had 45 other than the 18?
Like we have 27 outside and 18 outside, based on the previous building permit.
27. And that's in the park, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, and Jeff, when we calculated how many seats, how many did we calculate?
I don't know if I have that number off the top of my head right now. So I apologize.
Well, okay, then, Taylor, how many seats do you think you have? If you get the patio up above?
Including the patio up above,
Yes.
I would estimate it's very close to like about 144, I'd say.
Okay. And the first permit, how many was that for? Seats?
Our current occupancy, 112.
112.
But based on the permit drawings that we have, interior dining area has a total seating of 100 people. And patio, the front patio has a total seating of 44, based on the previous permit application drawings.
Yeah,
I
that's
just-
what I was
just
coming
have
with.
to clarify one thing. You say you're licensed for 112. But when you applied for the permit, what did it say, how many seats were going to be in there? We would have that here, I think. Do we have that number? I don't think it was 112, but anyway. Anyway, we can look that up. I don't want to be negative, but I want to get sorted out how many seats you have, because that's when you're at capacity, that's how many people are going to be there. And that's how many people need to park somewhere. So. there has to
Correct.
be
And as
some accounting. There has to be some accounting on paying for parking.
I'm sorry, if we could, I totally understand about the parking calculations and the concern there. What Sam has brought up first is the interpretation of this patio, rooftop patio being a patio. And that's what we would kindly ask that is addressed first, if that interpretation is agreed by council or not.
Well, it still is seating. It's extra seating, isn't it?
No, we're not looking for extra seating, rather to move our patio seats to a new location up above on the rooftop patio to allow for different choice of seating.
So it, just if I can jump in, Murray, just quick there. So it looks like on the diagram here, you got 55 on your patio now. And you want to drop, is that right? And you want to drop that to 25 and you're just going to replace them with the ones up top. Am I reading this wrong or not?
I'm not sure where you're getting 55 on the patio.
Well, it says existing ground floor. And it says patio total seating 55.
So the previous permit application has the patio as a 44 sittings. So let's say we are moving 44, keeping 20 on the ground floor, 24 to like the rooftop.
So what am I looking at here then? If you go to your diagram, it says existing ground floor plan. Page 7. It says patio total seating 55. Am I missing? What am I missing? What am I on?
That's based on the number of seats that's currently on the patio currently.
Right.
Right.
So, okay, so then if you go on down to the proposed, I guess,
Yeah,
the proposed ground floor has it patio total seating 25.
and 20 upstairs.
And sorry,
People, and 30 people upstairs. If you go to page A4,
yeah, so you're basically, you're not just swapping out 30 seats on the ground floor and moving them upstairs?
yeah,
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that's what I was thinking, so I'm
I don't.
I'm
that's what
confused
I'm at,
about the
I don't think
capacity changes.
Capacity's changed at all.
It isn't.
Okay,
but the permit drawings show the occupancy load as 112. So what we're gonna apply for is gonna be increasing the occupancy load from 112, and we wanna have 140 people, 140 patrons in these restaurants when we get the new building permit.
So like,
well, that means then that you're over capacity now from your original.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was my point. They are quite a bit over capacity. Okay, so what about staff parking? You didn't count that in your seats. Got 12, 15 staff there. Where do they park?
So the total occupancy load of what we're gonna propose is gonna be 150 people. And the parking calculation based on the zoning bylaw would be 1 per 4 person. So let's say we are at 150 people divided by 4, we need only 38 parking spots, including the staff and the patrons. But what we currently have is 45. So let's say 2 is allocated to the residential unit. We still have 43 allocated to the restaurant, which can accommodate up to 172 people, staff and patrons.
Okay. Any questions from council? I think we need some, to get some more information on this perhaps. Tammy?
Mark, Monica's original question was whether we agree that the patio, because it says, Jeff said that it was not counted, but it's up to us to decide whether it's not counted or not. So have we answered that yet?
No, we haven't.
well, I don't think it should be counted.
I don't think it should be.
If it was year-round accommodation and everything else, I think it should be, but the way it's set up now, or the way it's proposed, rather.
Jeff, do you have any input on that?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to clarify Councillor Donaldson's comments. Staff's position is that this does increase the occupancy in the gross floor area, not that it doesn't. And if you'd like me to explain, so when reviewing the proposal, like in the context of policy, we do look at different scenarios. And as the applicants are alluding to, that they're saying this is a deck and decks are excluded from gross floor area calculations. But in staff's interpretation, and staff met from various departments to discuss this, while the structure itself may be a deck, the deck is being used as a restaurant. It meets the definition of restaurant. It's serving food for consumption on site. So while I appreciate that perspective, that's their perspective, that's staff's interpretation, and that's what they're here today to ask council to change our interpretation.
So, again, just to recap, the original licenses was for 112 seats. You're presently at what now?
So there, what's our?
50?
Oh, sorry, 144. But that's with the patio, of course. In the winter, we seat about under 100 inside.
All right, so to make this simpler, why don't, if maybe we need more detail, but on the same note, what if we what if we asked for 20 more parking spaces at $1,000 each? That clears up everything, does it not?
Well, I think we need, yeah, I think I agree with you. We need to talk about that. I'd like to defer this and have a later discussion on it. I just like to go back and see what the original permit said they were gonna have, because they have way more seats than they applied for, I believe.
Now,
Which-
yeah, but
Yeah.
even, my own opinion, though, even in the future, if they do the patio and
Yeah.
everything else, if we ask for, again, 20 more parking spaces or whatever equates to 150, that straightens everything out. Does that make sense?
Well, it's the start, but technically it does, yes. Yeah, we can, I think we can probably land close to it. Pardon? Yeah, that's the issue, I think. Okay. Go ahead.
So what you're telling me is if I wanted to open a restaurant on the main street of Halliburton today, and I had seating for 20 inside for, say, 20, 30 people, but I had a huge area at the back, and I built a patio that could have 60, 80 seats with an umbrella over it, that those 60, 80 seats wouldn't be counted in my parking agreement?
Sure.
Is that what I'm reading here? That all these patios, they're not included?
It is, and but then it's, to extend that even farther, Walt, like we add parking, we take out a parking on the main street and put 5 picnic tables out on the main street, take up parking spaces. So is that added to their internal capacity as well? So again, it gets into decimal points as we're trying to sort this all out. To me, we're coming at it from an angle to try and make it work for everybody.
Yeah.
So,
And
I do understand what you're saying, but again, to me,
well, hopefully we don't allow any more on the main street,
it's getting crowded.
but, because we're going to get more requests to do that. And we don't have a big enough street.
Would council like to direct staff to return, or is that the way we're going?
Yeah, I think so. I think we'll just have we'll move along here because we got another delegation, then we'll come back to it and then we'll advise, I'd like to go back and look at the original building permit and see what we got there. Okay, folks, we'll get back to you with a decision today.
Today? Okay.
I'm sorry, a decision in regards to,
Hopefully today, okay?
I'm just unclear, a decision in regards to what?
Whether for the parking, whether or not we consider that roof a restaurant, it actually serves food. So that's what we have to consider.
Whether or not it's considered a patio like our front patio.
And
Okay.
other patios, okay?
Okay? Thank you.
Murray, if you want a decision today, like I was wondering if you wanted a report back, but in terms of a decision today, like, do you want to make that now then? I don't.
No, I don't. I want staff to go back and look at the original permit.
Okay,
Your Honor,
And then
okay,
they can come back to council today.
Your Honor.
okay.
One of the big questions was, do we agree with the interpretation by the planning department?
Yep.
In which case I do agree with the interpretation by the planning department. The next question is about the parking spaces,
Mhm.
but I do agree with their interpretation.
Does anyone else have an opinion on that? On the interpretation, just forgetting everything about the way that the restaurant is now or the history or the permits? Does anyone else have an opinion on staff's interpretation?
So what happens if they put the seats that they got there now outside presently, and then they add the 40 whatever up top, then they're going to be with a capacity of 160 or 170.
So the way you're talking, Mary, I would interpret that you agree with staff's interpretation.
I do at this point.
Okay, so that's 2 people. Is there anyone else?
Well, okay, well, we're divided on it, so we shall see.
I'm out for right now because again, there's, I don't want to create more layers to this,
Yeah.
this situation, but on the same note, what do we do for the other patios or parking places or whatever? So to me, it serves further dialogue here
Yeah.
than having some direction right now.
Yeah, and we got that coming in the future too, in the next week or next, we got another restaurant opening that's gonna ask for this, so,
Under the scenario I said.
yeah. So we're gonna have to treat everybody the same here.
Jeff has something to say. Did you find
Yeah.
something, Jeff?
Well, I was just going to clarify for council. So the ground floor patio is not included as a restaurant. So it doesn't meet the definition of restaurant because the definition of restaurant says it has to be part of the building. It's the rooftop patio that staff are saying meets the definition of a restaurant. Just not looking at the calculations for parking, that's what we're here to discuss. Is that rooftop patio a restaurant or is it just a deck?
And I'm sorry, and that's why we were wanting a discussion around that interpretation. If the front patio is not considered part of the restaurant, what makes the rooftop part of the restaurant? There's no attachment, it's seasonal, there's no enclosure, there's exterior stairs, there's nothing in it that's interior, the same as our exterior front patio. And that's why I would kindly request that that be looked at and decided.
So the way it sits now, if you don't do anything, those 55 seats on the patio out front don't count.
Even though they're being served. as
Even
a
though they're
restaurant.
there, they don't count.
Well,
Correct.
that's-
So now we're trying to say
But there's still bodies there
that yes,
that
but
require parking.
Correct, which we have parking for
We're looking at paying
107.
10,000 for Peter Curry, roughly, per space, and we're charging 1,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not a very
no,
good business
but
deal.
I'm just trying to get it in my head of what,
Yeah.
what they're, so the 30 don't, or the 55 don't count right now. When they move upstairs, those 30 are gonna count. And I see what their argument is, but I get, okay. Yeah.
Still people filling chairs, getting there in the car, so.
That's exactly.
This
yeah.
this is a splitting hair, right?
And we do realize that there's 100 parking spots across the street for the public for downtown. And I think they have 27 of them approved right now. And so that leaves 63 spots for June, July, and August, which is, our town. So, and now you're gonna add some more seating. It's just, this is in consideration. We have to think of all the people on the main street here. Needless to say, that there's a lot of questions about the patios on the main street, which I'm sure we're going to address in the future too. Or maybe it'll be done in this process here. And there's other restaurants coming to town. I definitely think that we should sit and think a little bit more about this and discuss this a little bit more than just making a decision here today.
I have a couple suggestions for more parking in town as well, but it's the sideline to the topic we're having here, but anyway, I think we just we gotta talk it out. That's all we gotta do. We
I
gotta
think
get
that,
solving the
that's
problem.
what we need to do. Yep.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
So I'll read a resolution to receive the delegation. Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay, be it resolved that council receives a delegation from representatives of Hook, Line and Sinker regarding the zoning interpretation of gross floor area for the rooftop patio expansion.
Okay, mover and second. Pat and Nancy, all in favor? Jeff, will you look up the original permit, please?
Yes, we can pull that.
And how many ERUs and how many, how it was laid out and charged? Because I think it's a little different story now. Anyway, we'll see. Okay, Scott Oval. How are you? I think everybody knows Scott. He's Director of Tourism at the county. He's here to talk about the short-term rental.
Once again.
Once again, yeah. Whenever you're ready, Scott.
I think they're just pulling just the short slideshow, so. Okay, so good morning, Mayor and members of council. As the mayor introduced me, I'm Scott Oval, Director of Economic Development and Tourism. Just because we had a transition in staffing early in the spring with Director Steve Stone retiring. This is just a portfolio I've inherited. So I'm just here to give you just a brief update on the Short-Term Rentals Appeals Committee, and more importantly, just to I guess preface it. What we're proposing today in front of you is more a matter of process related to the Municipal Act, and I'll try and keep this as brief as possible. I know that it's everyone's favorite thing to talk about the minutiae of the Municipal Act. So if I could just get next slide, please. So just a brief background, the Short-Term Rentals Appeals Committee was proposed to be managed by the Haliburton County, and it currently will do that. It's represented by 5 members, so there's 1 representative from each member municipality, so all 4 have been selected. The sitting warden would act as the 5th member. It would meet on an as-needed basis, so it wouldn't function as a traditional committee of council. It would more just meet when an appeal is registered with the member municipality. In that instance, just to give you kind of a brief background, if an appeal was made, whether that was because a license was revoked or it wasn't approved, staff from that township would provide a background report that would be presented to the appeals committee. The individual or STR host would also have an opportunity to address that appeals committee as well at that time. Once that's done, the committee would then deliberate and would make a decision on whether they would support the existing staff recommendation, provide an alternative recommendation or motion. If I could next slide, please. So as the bylaws currently written, this was one of the items that was, in my experience with the portfolio, was consensus amongst county council, I would suggest. The reason it landed with the county is I think all councillors wanted the ability to have it there so that hosts wouldn't feel that they were being targeted if they had a history with a member municipality. As we started writing the terms of reference for the appeals committee, I was trying to kind of pull from existing jurisdictions. They're all managed at the lower tier. So it was a little bit more challenging. I forwarded that on to our solicitor just as I was doing it to make sure that we were, following or dotting our I's and crossing our T's. As the bylaws currently written, it actually doesn't conform to the Municipal Act. The alternative option, if we were just to keep it really simple, would be the member municipalities could inherit the appeals committee and you could just manage it yourself. In consultation with our solicitor, we did identify an alternative solution where it would still reside with the County of Haliburton. I'll talk about that on the next slide, if I could, please. So what needs to take place is actually a transfer of powers. And what we did is we presented this to County Council. So how the process actually has to work and what we decided was we didn't want the county to kind of arbitrarily pass this transfer of powers bylaw without the support of the member municipalities. The transfer of powers bylaw is attached to Schedule A and it outlines what those powers are. It's only specifically related to the Short-Term Rentals Appeals Committee. There's no other powers related to that. And then the townships also have to approve a consent resolution, which also is attached to the report. If the process isn't slightly confusing enough for you, the curveball that they threw us was 3 out of the 4 municipalities have to support the consent resolution, or what they call a triple majority. And further detail, if the 3 municipalities that support it, they also have to constitute 3/4 of the population of the county as well. So what we're proposing in front of you today is just to support the concept of us passing this transfer of powers bylaw. If you do, at a subsequent meeting of County Council, we would present that bylaw. If they approved it, we would then forward the consent resolution back to your staff and you could approve it at another meeting. And then the goal would still be have the appeals committee in place by probably later in the fall or early in the winter. In consultation with, I think, the majority of the staff at our member municipalities, they're trying to take a more compliance-based approach as we move through this and really trying to work with hosts and get everybody licensed and on it. Next slide, please. So this is just a summary of where we're at. The composition of the committee wouldn't change at all. So the four individuals that have been appointed would remain the same. The sitting warden obviously every year would alternate. If we get approval and get the process in place, we would subsequently at the county level just, finalize those terms of reference and pass the appropriate bylaw to authorize that committee. And the appeals process outlined in the bylaw wouldn't change at all either. The one caveat with this as well is that actually the powers can be reversed through the same process. So if for whatever reason, if the member municipalities wanted to take this on their own, that process can be started, and it's the same process, just backwards. So, and with that, I'm happy to field any questions that you may have.
For you on that, Carmen? Yeah. Carmen's our rep on that. Pretty straightforward, really.
Yeah, through your worship, it's just a matter of process and just a hiccup we ran into in the municipal act in doing our due diligence. And as I said, the process doesn't change at all. And fingers crossed the appeals committee isn't meeting all that often, but that will remain to be seen.
So how close are we to being ready for?
It's live. They issued 9 licenses as of this morning.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we're underway then. Good. Good. Anything else for Scott? Well, thank you.
Thank you, worship.
I'll read the resolution if
Yeah,
council's comfortable.
Yeah.
Okay, be it resolved that council receives a delegation from Scott Oval, Director of Economic Development and Tourism, County of Haliburton, regarding the short-term rentals appeal committee's information. And that Dysart et al. Council supports the transfer of powers bylaw as attached to Schedule A to staff report EDT-01-2024. And that council support the consent resolution as attached as Schedule B for the delegation of authority to Haliburton County to function as the STR appeal committee on their behalf.
Okay, mover and seconder. Carmen and Nancy, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thanks, Scott. Okay, want to take a break here now?
Yeah.
Okay, fire department report. Dan?
Good morning, Mr. Mayor and members of council. Thank you very much for having me. Quick update on our call volumes. We're staying pretty close to last year's. We're a little bit lower, which is always nice to hear, but unfortunately, we're still aiming for a ballpark of approximately 400 to 2,450 calls, similar to last year, which unfortunately has been a continual increase, but not unexpected, as we are having an increase of population still. One thing I'd like to formally report, very nice to be able to say our hiring process worked well. We are still one of the lucky municipalities that we have more applicants than we have spaces for. It's unfortunate we have to tell people they can't volunteer, but due to restrictions for PPE and training low spaces, we do have to hold that back. However, I do want to point out we are having less overflow applicants, so to speak. So it is one of those things that we need to start considering ways to be maintaining our staff. Happy to say attrition's been very low. We did have 3 firefighters retire in 2024. Peter McTeague, Ed Menzel, and Mike Ferry. Thank you very much for their longtime service. They all had well over 10 years experience. Ed was 25. Anyways, so unfortunately we're losing that experience, but we are working very well with the staff we have to try and get that experience and that information shared to our younger staff before those firefighters move on. And so we do have 4 new hires. Not know if they're familiar names to anybody. Noah Reekmans, Carson Thayer, Steve Potalivo, and James Keller are our new firefighters that will be starting to come out next Monday evening. And of course, we've got to go through all the legal paperwork. So we're just waiting on vulnerable sector checks and driver's abstracts and stuff like that. And we're hoping that all goes well, and we'll be bringing them on for a 12-month probationary period. So, are there any questions for me?
Any questions for Dan? Good. Thank you, Dan. That's great.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Resolution, ma'am.
Yeah, be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the fire department report for September 2024.
Mover and seconder. Walt and Tammy. All in favor? Carried. Okay, thank you. Okay, Head Lake Park, Farmers Market, Andrea.
Andrea doesn't actually have a, Murray?
Pardon?
Andrea doesn't actually have a report on this. It's just for your
Oh,
discussion.
just discussion then. Okay. Okay, who's going to start this discussion?
I just wanted to say that our current fee bylaw sets the farmers market Head Lake Park use fee for this year, 2024. So I don't know if council wants to set a fee just to go forward. If they want it the same, or if that's what the discussion's for.
I propose we hold the fee the same. I think everybody got adjusted to it. It seems to work good, my own opinion.
Okay. Is there any further discussion on it then? Okay.
I can read that resolution. Be it resolved that council confirms the Head Lake Park use fee for the farmers market will remain at $5 per vendor.
Okay, mover and seconder. And Barry, all in favor? Carried. Jolly Jog and public skating.
Yeah, it's just a simple one. We do have something fun coming up on November 24th, the Jolly Jog. So this will be the 11th year. It takes place, starts and ends at the Haliburton Highlands Museum, with routes ranging from 1 kilometer to 5 kilometers. People dressed in their festive attire. It brings out families. We've had people that have come through the ranks and are now, on to post-secondary education or raising families of their own. And then public skating, we have a a wide variety of public skates available. We have your regular public skate, shinny, adult only, parent taught, and we're also going to introduce some sensory skates. So we're just putting it out there, and people have been attending them. We've had them going right from September, and then we also have some punch passes available. So those have been quite popular. People can buy a punch pass that allows them for 25 public skates instead of having to find $2 change each time or register online. They can just come pay for a punch pass and then just show it each time and get it stamped. And that works really well for them and becomes a good stocking stuffer too. I know people have purchased those to put into somebody's as a little add-on for a gift.
Any discussion there? Okay.
Be it resolved that council receives the Jolly Jog and public skating report for information purposes.
Okay, mover and seconder, Carmen and Pat, all in favor? Carried. Okay, building and bylaw. Haley and Carl's absent today, so the building report,
Do you want me to just read the resolution for the building
sure.
permit report?
I think we've all
Be
read it.
resolved. Sorry?
I say we've all read it, so we should.
Okay. Be it resolved that council received the September 2024 building permit activity report as information.
Okay, mover and seconder, Barry and Nancy, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay, Haley, I guess the bylaw update.
Good morning. Yes, it's our bylaw update for September 19th through October 15th. We did see our regular autumn decline in incoming complaints in September. The numbers are still steady, but it was helpful to have that decline to get ready for the short-term rental bylaw to come into effect, which came into effect October 1st. The application system opened last week. We've seen about 17 applications come in. So they're trickling in. Yeah, and we've have an increase in planning requests for, I think, in relation to the short-term rental licensing, because there's a few people who are going to need licenses of occupations or to purchase their shorelines. Another bylaw enforcement issue that we're having is as promotion 23-412 from September's meeting last year. We had been going out to the public beaches to tag any docks that have been stored there by private individuals. Basically, private docks are being stored on the public beaches. The tags have been removed twice. We've gone back out and tagged a third time, but we were looking for council direction for increased enforcement measures. I've also attached a photo of the Haliburton Lake Beach and just to demonstrate what is going on these beaches.
So they're being tagged for this year and then they're going to get notice next year to move them somewhere. That's
Right, so we do have a provision in our encroachment bylaw to remove. I was wondering if that's something that we might explore next year.
well, hopefully we won't have to if we tell them to move it.
Maria, I think.
Ideally.
I ought to reach out to the cottage associations first and get,
Mhm.
because the people just don't know. They've done it forever. Yeah, generations of dogs been moved everywhere on every lake. So if maybe we can get some notice out first before we start removing them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But who's taking the tags off them? I mean, they've done it 3 times now. Exactly.
Walt, do you have a comment?
Yeah, I agree. I think especially the people up at Haliburton Lake are aware that they're there this year, but they're gonna have to find another place for next year. We probably got some other lakes that are in the same situation, and just another thing, we'll have to set a policy in place, or they're gonna have to find a new docking spot.
I agree with Carm if we let the lake associations know, but I don't want to make more work for everybody. If we put a sign up at each beach in the fall or what have you, just saying no docks or bylaw, whatever, you're gonna get fined.
That's been the problem. As soon as one's there, everybody thinks that's
Sure.
the spot, so
Yeah,
they're
it's
all just
natural.
piling up.
Well, I think there is a way around it. Yeah.
I just have a question. Where are we liability wise if they're on a public beach and somebody comes whipping up there on a snowmobile and hits them? Like, I just question.
We make sure, because we have had that happen before, we make sure with our public docks that they are all snow fenced off if they're up on shore anywhere. So I'm not sure. I, we've never done that with private docks before, but we've only done it with our own public docks, so that's up to council, I guess.
By the way, what's all the snow fence doing down it? You know, I think we got snow fence down here on the walkway.
In the park?
Yeah.
It's possibly getting ready. I haven't looked, but maybe it's getting ready for the HCSA because we snow fence all that off of the parking area.
It just looks so tacky coming into town. But anyway, okay. Haley, my favorite question, because I think it's time we got something done. Wigamog, where do we stand now on Wigamog?
So there was a reassignment on the MECP side, and we've received comments back from the MECP regarding the species at risk assessment that was done. It might be something that to be discussed and closed if we want to look into an RFP or taking over the
Yeah.
demolition of the site, just to review everything that we received from the MECP.
Yeah, well, we definitely need to move on it. I think these people have put up with that long enough down there. That's ridiculous. So, I guess we can't add that to the agenda today, can we? In closed session? No, I guess not. No, we can't. Well, we definitely need to move. Are we still being held up by the MOE?
Yes, that's sorry, MOE, MECP, they've changed their name a few times. Yes, I have a very large email from them kind of with the comments on what needs to be done on the site prior to demolition.
Okay, can you forward me the name of the person you're working with?
Yep.
Thank you. I think we need to go over somebody's head here. This is just being
Definitely
held
gotta
up
dig
long
our
enough.
heels in now. Had enough of waiting around for them.
Yeah. Okay,
Can I?
anything else for Haley?
Yeah,
Tammy?
I don't see where the STR applications, I thought we were going to record them every month to see how many were coming in.
Right, so the report was written last Tuesday, just to be submitted in time for council. Our application system opened last Tuesday as well, so there's nothing to report as of last Tuesday.
So it will be on the next report?
Next report, yes, so we've had 17 in the past week, and they're slowly picking up as more people are getting on board.
Okay, great, thanks.
Anything else for Haley? Okay, resolution then.
Be it resolved that council accepts the bylaw update report for September 19th to October 15th, 2024 as information.
Mover and seconder. Barry and Carm, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, thanks, Haley. Okay, Public Works. They're coming. So is Christmas. There they are. Okay, Rob, are you reporting this or?
No, David's here.
Okay, Dave, go fire off.
Okay, good morning, council. I got my road maintenance status report for September 2024. Miller Paving for the construction side completed the double surface treatment on Percy Lake Road, Curry Lake Road, and Basson Lake Road. Bridges and culverts, culvert replacement. So Curry Lake Road, we had culverts replaced, Basson Lake Road, culverts replaced, and then we did a couple emergency culverts over on Kenaway. And then for ditching, so ditching, we had Curry Lake Road, Basson Lake Road, and Kenaway Road, which we completed.
Okay. Okay. Anything else? Yes, Pat.
Hey, Rob, where are we at with the Kosh Long Bridge replacement there? I know we had to go back to engineering because it was way off scope in terms of cost.
Yeah, I was going to touch on that later on, but I mean, we can have that discussion now. So later on, you're going to see a request for approving engineering fees for the Redstone Brook Bridge and the Barry's Bridge, which is immediately upstream. So in speaking with our engineer, they recommended that we leave what we have in place now, but add barrier and fix the approaches next year. I mean, it's gonna be a cost too, but right now what we have there is safe and can take full highway loading. So the recommendation at that point would be keep it in place now, make it safe for the traveling public with the barriers, and wait for a grant opportunity, because obviously what we had in the budget initially is nowhere near what we need, so.
Yeah. Good. So,
Okay.
well, the only difference is single lane instead of double, that's, but we can live with that, I think, for a while. For $5 million, we can live with it.
Even if it was 3 million, quite honestly, I mean, we generally don't spend that much on bridges for a bridge replacement, so if it's safe now, we already have money invested in it. The recommendation would be just leave it in place now until we can get a grant to help offset the costs.
I think we've had some people look at it, and they think that there could be an alternative to cut the cost down, but at some time we need to sit down and go through that with you, Rob, and see if that's feasible or not.
Yeah, I mean, every time we resubmit, it goes through different levels of government and different ministries, and you could be 12 months getting a response, so.
If that is a culvert replacement though, Rob? It's not we're not redecking a bridge or driving piles or anything there, are we?
At Koshlong, sorry?
So, yeah, we're gonna replace the bridge with a culvert, correct?
Yes, it was being replaced with 4 CSPs, I believe. The big cost that really floored us was the detour. So
I'm just in my own experience, I don't know how it could be more than $1.5 million. I don't know. Anyways, if everybody's okay with it, we'll take a look at it later on. Anyway,
If we could get them out another way,
correct.
then we wouldn't need that,
Yeah. Okay.
even if it's a little inconvenient for a few days, then we're gonna have to do it
Sure.
at some point.
Oh,
Okay,
Can I ask a question?
yes,
I'm just checking to see, I think I brought it forward a while ago, about Highlands East doing the Harcourt area for plowing. But I just wanted to know if we could find a cost difference, whether it's more cost effective to have Highlands East do it like they did before, or whether it's cheaper for us to do it. Is that possible?
yeah, yes, it is possible, but Highlands East hasn't plowed our roads out there. It was private contractor before we did it ourselves.
Right, okay.
but we could get, and I guess if they did it, they'd charge us the same rate that we charge the county, right?
That I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know. I do know there was discussions on this during the last term of council, I believe. So I'd have to do some digging, and I can circle back on that.
It would appear to a layman that it makes sense to do it that way. I don't know, but we'll get some numbers here and see what happens. What would we
Okay.
do with that truck, and where we go over there now? I guess you'd work that out with Dave and see what you needed to do.
Well, we have a dedicated truck and staff member looking after that area.
Yeah, and if you didn't need to do that, what would happen then?
Yeah, we'd have to look at it.
Needs to be discussion on that. Okay. Okay, municipal,
I'll read the resolution.
Yeah.
Here. Be it resolved that council receive this report outlining road maintenance activities for September 2024 as information.
okay, all in favor? Carried. Well, I
Did we
guess-
get a mover and a seconder?
Walt and Nancy.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Municipal law enforcement officers.
Yeah, so similar to last year, we have to appoint municipal law enforcement officers to remove vehicles from the roadway if they're interfering with snow removal. It's something we generally don't use. We haven't had to use it in the past so much, maybe 3 times since I've been here. But it's just another tool that we have if we have constant people blocking snow plows on the weekends in particular.
Okay, well, we definitely have that problem around Christmas, don't we? Okay,
Be it resolved that bylaw 2024-99 being a bylaw to appoint bylaw enforcement officers for the removal of vehicles interfering with the movement of traffic or with the clearing of snow from municipal roads, be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and the corporate seal attached thereto.
okay, mover and seconder. Barry and Pat, all in favor? Carried. Okay, level of service.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Everybody's favorite policy. This is a policy just for council's information to know what we do and how we do it. I know throughout the course of the year, the roadside mowing has come up more than once. And I know sweeping, we get complaints on quite often too in the spring. So if council wants to set a level of service for the roadside mowing and sweeping in particular, I mean, the sweeping might be a bit of a bigger beast than we can decide right now, but we could meet with council on the side and just see how we want to do the sweeping. We generally do the town first and work our way out, but it seems every year we get complaints saying we do the same road last every year. So if council wants to get away from that, we can certainly set up something, you know, to have sequential roads that we do every year.
You obviously do that for a reason, I guess, so.
That's correct, yeah.
Any discussion on that? Okay, Mallory?
Be it resolved that council receive this report outlining policy number 49, being a level of service policy for municipal roads, as information.
Mover and seconder. Walt and Nancy, all in favor? Carried. Yeah.
Rob, when we do the brushing of the roads, would we do that get in the routine? Is it be every year or every other year or?
Every 4 to 8 years for mechanical brushing.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and the next is, the next three are pretty well all the same, aren't they? For the next two. This is the engineering fees. Rob, you
Yeah, so item D for the engineering fees for the Redstone Brook and Barry's Bridge replacement. In lieu of the discussion we just had on the Koshlong Bridge, we can either proceed and do both bridges at the same time. The savings, the thought process on the savings there is you would save one mobilization for one of the bridges. Both bridges could be done in the same year. We're estimating 8 weeks per bridge kind of thing. So we can move ahead and replace both bridges in 2025 and debenture it. Or if council doesn't want to commit to replacement now, I would still recommend getting the engineering done on Barry's Bridge. And so at least we have 2 bridges shovel ready.
okay.
Rob, should we wait until we get a direction, like we were talking about, maybe having a meeting about what we can do about Koshlong? Wonder we should get a common direction as to how we want to go about the process. Again, if we're getting into engineering, that's getting way out of scope with cost and you know, getting around the bridge while we're working on it, whether we can talk about it first and then let the engineering go second. It's my own opinion, but anyway.
Yeah, at council's discretion, absolutely.
Something we could bring back to, if we talked about it between now and that council or, and then make this decision for engineering next council meeting? Would that be?
Yeah, still
that
be
make
time
sense?
to do it next meeting, wouldn't there?
If the weather holds, I know the only reason I'm kind of pressing it in October is they would need to do some surveying out at Barry's Bridge. But I mean, another month, I don't think we'll have 4 feet of snow, knock wood.
Well, if you're willing to wait, I think it'd be a better process, my own opinion. But anyway.
Well, that's fine.
So we're just gonna put that on hold then?
I'll
You
just read a resolution to acknowledge receipt. Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the report about engineering fees for Redstone Brook and Barry's Bridge Barry's Bridge replacement.
All mover and seconder, Pat and Walt, all in favor? Carried. Next, Head Lake Park.
Yeah, much along the same lines, just looking to have something shovel ready, and for replacement in 2025. This is more of an urgent kind of decision we need to make. So, the bridge was inspected this fall. I haven't got the report on it. I don't imagine it's going to be, everything's fine and it's good for another 10 years. I'm fully expecting them to say, you know, monitor this monthly or seasonally and look at replacement soon, within 1 year.
I know there's options in there. We can go to a wider bridge and it's $100,000 more. I have a big issue because then we're gonna have bollards. We gotta put them in the morning, take them off, or take them off in the morning, send park staff to put them on. I mean, we've survived for 25 years. I don't know why it's a big deal. We don't take our equipment across it anyway.
I think they're gonna be able to take the snowplow equipment across it with this, but also from an accessibility standpoint, the grant application we put in is based on this bridge, based on council's decision at the last meeting.
We don't mind
But the
spending money.
bollards, we do put the bollards in at all our other bridge locations for that same reason, and it hasn't been an issue.
No, it's not an issue as long as we got the manpower to take them, take them out. You can't have them in and get the snowplow or get the snowplow across.
Rob, what's the span across that bridge?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot now.
60, 70 feet?
I wouldn't say it's 70, no, probably 50 to 60.
Probably, I've been in the park a lot, but I can't remember if there's any, is there any spot where it's a little narrower or would make it not quite as expensive, you know?
No, I don't believe so, no.
That's a lot of money for that little bridge, sure, isn't it?
It's ridiculous, but it is what it is. Okay.
So again, I mean, we can defer the part of it and say, you know, we're not going to commit to replacing in 2025 right now. But at the very least, I think we should start the engineering.
Well, let's do the engineering and then we're ready. In case there's an election, they start throwing money
Well,
around.
we have applied for the grant for this based on the direction from the last council, so there's no guarantee we'll get it. But if we do and the engineering's done, it'll be one step further to getting it done.
Right. Okay, Mallory?
Okay, I'll read it as is, okay? Be it resolved that council accept the structural design report submitted by DM Wills Associates Limited as information. And that council approve the work plan and fee schedule to proceed with the replacement of the Head Lake Park Steel Foot Bridge in 2025.
Okay, move a resolution, Nancy and Tammy. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Cabin chassis we supply.
Murray, I got a question on this. So right now, all the trucks I got out there are GMs and Dodges. Now they want us to get a Ford in the mix, and there's not much difference between a Ford and Dodge in here, in my opinion. $3,000. I think we should stick with what we have, not get a third brand, because oil filters, all the stuff the guys use, the different tools, they're already set up to work with a Dodge and a Ford. Now we're gonna have more costs that we don't see here down the road with getting different stuff and keeping different parts. So in my opinion, we should not go with the lowest bid, go with something we already have one brand of.
Okay.
Should that be a Dodge or a GM? I don't know what these other groups are, but just my suggestion.
Okay, and what's the difference in the price?
Well, I don't know what Forbes have, whether they're Dodge or GM or Ford, I have no idea. They're only 1,000 to 2,000, and Blue Mountain Chrysler is only $3,000 difference.
What do you think?
And we just bought a new Dodge this year and a new Dodge the previous year.
Rob, do you have a comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, we are recommending low bid, but I can't pull it up here now, but the Downtown Auto Group was actually the most compliant too, so they checked off the most boxes. What the other ones were deficient in, I can't name off the top of my head. I'd have to pull it up. So I would recommend if you don't want to award it now, you just defer it.
Who did we buy the last Dodges from, Rob, you know?
Finch Auto Group, I believe.
Okay, so Finch Auto Group, if we went happy with the last two, they're only $2,000 difference.
Yeah, they are different trucks, though. This is cabin chassis. The other ones were
I realize, well,
step side.
from the cab ahead's the same. It's
Yeah.
just box back is different.
Yeah.
They're all fairly close, aren't they?
I just think from a maintenance point of view, we should keep with what we have, not another brand.
So, yeah, because you say you have to stock a whole lot of different stuff.
Well, and the guys are set up for the tooling. They got all the tools and stuff for the Dodge and the GM.
Yeah. Well, there's experience talking. Okay, so what do we do with that then?
I can read a resolution.
Well, if you got one that fits.
Yeah, be it resolved that council defer the award of RFP 2024-PW-18 being a proposal to supply one class 3 cabin chassis.
Okay, mover and seconder. Carm and Tammy, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Okay, quarterly shoe, Barbara.
Yes, good morning. So we have here the quarterly metered readings for sewage as of September 2024. Year to date, we're actually up 4.1% over last year. And no particular concerns with any of the readings. So we anticipate that we're going to at least finish out the year with comparable figure from 2023.
Okay. Resolution then?
Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the quarterly metered sewage readings report for the period ending September 30th, 2024.
Okay, mover and seconder, Barry and Carm, all in favor? Carried. Check summary then, Barb.
Yes, so we have the check summary report here. Total disbursements for the month were $1,794,631. Vendor payments were $1,383,867. And the balance is payroll of $410,764.
Okay, discussion? Okay.
Kind of unrelated, but I thought we were getting that check run every month
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, I've sent it out. I'll have to check my email, make sure it went, but I thought I sent it last week, but I'll
Okay.
check that when we're done.
I didn't see it there, so thank you. That was it.
Okay.
So I'll read the resolution.
Yep.
Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the September 2024 check summary.
Mover and seconder, Nancy and Barry, all in favor? Carried. Tax applications.
So we have here the Section 357 write-offs. There's a total of 3 properties for demolition, and the municipal portion for write-off is $540.25.
Okay. Resolution.
Be it resolved that council authorizes tax adjustments for applications made under section 357 of the Municipal Act as amended as follows. Municipal portion $540.25, county portion $405.70, and education portion $245.59.
Okay, mover and seconder. Carmen Walt, all in favor? Carried. Okay, compliance with PSAB.
Yes, so we have here a report about our asset management plan and an update to meet the Ontario Regulation 588-17. The objective of the asset management update is to move the municipality's practices into compliance with the regulation. The regulation indicates that every municipality shall review and update its asset management plan at least every 5 years. The current asset management plan was developed in 2020. Some of the key activities include inventory analysis and condition assessment review, complete asset life cycle analysis and replacement costing, identify levels of service, and develop a financial strategy. So the asset management plan is becoming a very valuable document for many operational activities. And so one of the items as well is grant funding. The OCIF is tied closely to asset management, and there's a requirement to provide the information, the current replacement value to the ministry on an annual basis to develop the amount of grant funds that we receive. So in 2023, we had received $339,000. In 2024, that dropped to $288,000. And I can confirm now in 2025, that's going to drop another $41,000. So just wanted to stress the importance of how the asset management plan will feed into municipal operations and funding. So staff are recommending to engage with PSD Citywide. We've now purchased their asset management software, and we would like to engage with them to help us update our asset management plan. The total cost for that is $55,400, and staff are recommending to draw that money from the Safe Restart Fund. So there would be no impact on the municipal levy.
There's a fair bit of discussion going on among municipalities on this. What happens when you can't meet the asset management plan, when they keep taking the grants away from you? What are
Yeah,
they supposed to do?
very good question. So with the new regulation, one of the tasks within the regulation is that council is to review the performance of the asset management plan on an annual basis, and that any gaps that are identified, we need to identify how we're going to close that gap. So again, there's a lot of responsibility on the municipality, regardless if grant funding is dropping.
Something that AMO should take on. This is getting out of hand. They just keep taking money on you, and they expect more. And where do we get the money? Like, so there's got to be some pushback here sooner or later. Okay, Valerie.
Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the asset retirement obligation review, and that council directs staff to implement PSD citywide ARO module for asset retirement obligation. I'm not reading the right one, am I, Barbara? Did we do asset management plan?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll switch this around. One sec. Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the asset management plan review, and that council directs staff to engage with PSD citywide for asset management plan update to meet Ontario Regulation 588-17, and that asset management plan will be funded from the state Safe Restart funds.
Okay. Mover and seconder. Nancy and Carm, all in favor? Carried. Okay.
So another regulatory reporting here for the asset retirement obligation. This is in accordance with PSAB 3280. It's relatively new. It is somewhat of a comprehensive calculation, and it builds on the asset management. So the process of identifying assets that are have a responsibility for retirement obligation would be first to identify the asset, and AROs include obligations related to the retirement of assets such as buildings with asbestos, underground pipes, and landfills. And secondly, recognition and measurement. AROs are recognized as liabilities in the financial statement at the best estimate of the expenditure required to settle the obligation. The costs associated with the AROs are capitalized as part of the asset's carrying amount and amortized over its useful life. Benefits of the ARO and asset management is recognizing and planning for AROs allows the municipality to avoid unexpected financial burdens. Compliance with PSAB 3280 enhances the municipality's credibility and accountability, and proactively managing AROs reduces the risk of sudden expenditures and helps maintain levels of service. So again, staff are recommending to engage PSD citywide to implement the ARO module. It is complementary to the asset management module. So we feel that we can concurrently with the implementation of the asset management also implement the ARO obligation and set the municipality up for good reporting tools and accurate reporting for our 2024 audit. The total for the ARO configuration and implementation is $17,100, and staff are recommending to fund that through the Safe Restart Fund, and that would result in a zero impact on a municipal levy.
Okay. Just goes on, doesn't it? Like a bad dream. Okay. resolution.
I'll read the resolution. Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the asset retirement obligation review. And that council directs staff to implement the PSD citywide ARO module for asset retirement obligation. And the ARO project be funded from the Safe Restart funds.
Okay, mover and seconder. Walt and Barry, all in favor? Carried. Yes.
Might be a bit new to that, but we're more or less giving them a standing inventory of the shape of our equipment, such as bridges, for example.
Yeah.
Is that correct? So when we do that, Barb, is there, you might have already alluded to that, Marie, where we tell them that we got 5 bridges coming up that they're going to need replacement. Do they don't automatically put that in a queue in their own budgets to give us a grant for that? We got to dig that up somewhere.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah, and if I may, what you're going to find is through the asset management plan, they'll identify any funding gaps. And that's based on keeping the assets at a certain condition. And those items will be identified through the process. So it will not be a surprise if there is a huge funding gap.
Sorry, so if there is, we do identify a huge funding gap, which I believe is coming with the bridges, and they automatically, I'm going to say, do they automatically come through? Or again, it's up to us to find this funding if we put in for a grant or what have you. That's not necessarily meaning we're going to get a grant for $10 million for 5 bridges. Is that?
That's right.
Yeah.
Might not
So
get anything.
I'm at a loss as to why we're telling them what we're doing if it doesn't really mean anything, but anyway.
I'm with you. Just,
It affects our ability to get the grants as well if we don't have all of this done and in place for it, and they're reducing the amount of our payments if we don't meet all these obligations.
When you say reduce the amount of our payment, so how much in a year would the province send to us for, is it just through grants or do we get a certain amount of funding per year?
I'll let you speak to that, Barbara.
Yeah, so it would vary on the funding stream. So with the OCIF, which is provincial funding, they tie the level of funding to the requirements within your asset management. So it's really critical to have the tools to value the replacement cost of your assets at the current replacement value. And that's what they base the funding on. For instance, the Canada Community Build Fund, formerly the Federal Gas Tax Funds, they also distribute the funds. However, it's a different model. It's not directly tied to your asset management plan.
but that fund keeps being reduced, doesn't it?
It's
The gas tax doesn't, but the other one does.
That's right. The gas tax has pretty much held its own. It's the Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund, the provincial, which has been decreasing exponentially year over year.
So again, Barb, forgive me, but so do we get monthly installments from this provincial government to help us out with anything we're doing here? It's all based on the levy. Is that correct?
When you define monthly installments, I will speak to the Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund.
Okay.
And so based on the level of funding, we receive 5 payments throughout the year, which are 5 equal payments of the total that has been allocated to the municipality.
Okay.
So are you better off to show you're not going to be in a good position if you don't have a lot of needs then? You're not going to get any money. Am I right? Or get less?
Well, yeah, they would look at the age of your assets and see where they position within your plan.
So if we present what Pat's just saying, all these bridges and things that are near the next two or 3 years needed, we should qualify for more money. But do we? That's the question.
Logically, that would be sensible. Yes, how much? That would be the other question because that's based on their calculations. So again, we complete our due diligence. We get the tools to allow us to provide that current replacement value on an annual basis, then it's giving us a better chance of getting more money.
Not to drag this out more, but as Rob made so each bridge should have an identification of where it's at in its state of life or end of life. Would that be correct?
Correct.
So they already know where we're at in terms of bridges. And I'm using bridges as an example because I believe road maintenance and paving is, a levy thing based on local taxes. But when we're talking huge infrastructure jobs like bridges, then that evidently is a spike in our.
And landfill's gonna be in there. too.
Landfill's another one on that note. But anyway, you answered my question if Rob's got it already in there.
Okay. Good questions. Yes, okay. Mallory?
Okay, we already read that resolution and passed it, so we'll move on. The next report, we received a request from YWCA Peterborough Halliburton to raise the Wrapped in Courage flag, which is a flag that raises awareness about gender-based violence. And it follows a campaign period, so it's 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, and it begins with International Day for Elimination of Violence Against Women on November 25th, and it ends on Human Rights Day on December 10th. And previously, DISER flew this flag in 2022. If this council is agreeable to flying the flag, we recommend that it's approved for the remaining of the term, just so they don't have to come back again.
We just went through a lengthy exercise saying 1 day for flags, didn't we?
Yeah, and it's up to this campaign runs, there's significance to the dates, obviously. That's why they run it for 16 days. When the flag policy is brought back, council can decide how they want to do that. Some places only raise flags for a week. Some places, very few only do 1 day because it's not very much time, but some places only say we only do a week, or we'll do a certain period of time unless someone else needs to go next. But it's up to council how long they want it to fly.
16 days seems like quite a while. It's a good cause, though.
Again, nothing against any group that wants to fly flags by any means, but again, I've echoed this in the past, where it should be Canadian provincial flag and then a flag for our veterans for in the wars overseas for supporting our freedom. On that note, to me, as a gesture, maybe a 1 day flying of the flag is what we've been talking about. Where are we at with adjusting that to put that in play, or was that in play now?
No, we have to bring forward a policy for you. We've been doing the research with, basically there's 444 municipalities, so we've done a poll of them and we've got most of the information back to give to you to help you make a decision on how you want to go forward. There's a lot of different flags that we weren't even aware of doing the research that are more standard in other areas than we do up here, so we'll bring that forward.
We're gonna have a
soon,
full-time
too.
job for somebody putting up and taking down
Yeah,
flags, so
exactly.
that's okay.
That many requests really though? For
No.
flags at the arena? 2 or
No,
something?
in most towns do have a community flag that they fly other flags just to show who they, to show, what they stand for in their community and stuff like that. So that's common. Some places do have a Remembrance Day flag, so it's not an official flag, but because of course representing Canada is the Canadian flag, but closer to Remembrance Day and Veterans Day, they might fly a poppy flag or a Lest We Forget flag. So there are other options, and we can bring that back for sure.
So where do we stand on this resolution?
So can we listen to that? Can you bring that forward next council so we can get that sorted out?
We could. Is it gonna be on time for this one?
No.
It won't be on time for this decision, but we could bring a report back to your.
I'd like to get
meeting.
that put to bed if you don't mind. It's
Yeah, I
coming up.
would too. We seem to be doing. Make a decision and stick with it.
How often is the veterans flag up? Veterans Day?
I don't, so there are poppy flags. So the Canadian flag represents nationalism, right? And it's often raised and so on in veteran ceremonies. But also there is like I call it unofficial because I think there's different flags. Some people have a flag that says "Lest we forget," or they'll have a poppy flag to represent the poppy campaign. We don't have a flag like that, but we could get one if council was interested in that. And fly it, like some places fly it leading up to Remembrance Day, so they might do it for a week before or something like that. But that's certainly a possibility too, that we could get a poppy flag or something like that.
I agree with that.
So do I.
So back to the question of, can we fly this flag? I would say, yes, we could put it up for a week. It's not labor intensive. And then perhaps that can roll into our policy. Well, this request is before we can do that, so.
So obviously we didn't fly it last year. What was the reason for that? Why was the year before, not last year?
The request didn't come in last year. I think that maybe, I don't know why, but it's back again, so. That I know of, it didn't come in anyway. I wasn't here last year, so in person. So if we want to fly it only for a week, that's not really the way the campaign works, but we could fly it the week of November 25th when it starts.
We'd have our policy in place.
Sorry, I can't hear anyone. I don't know if the mics aren't working or what's going on.
He's gone here.
Oh, I can hear you now, Murray. Can you repeat what you said?
Said my battery's gone.
Oh, your battery's gone.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I was just saying, if we pass this in November, the policy, then and it gets to be 1 day or 3 days or whatever it is, then that'll be too late for this event, right?
Yeah, it will be when this has already started.
Okay. So what do we want to do?
We could also approve this one for 1 year and then it could follow the policy after that. I've added that we give pre-approval, but we could just approve it for this 1 year because you know a policy's coming.
You want to do that? For a week. For a week. The last week, I guess, would be the important one. For the last week of the campaign then?
Nancy's suggesting the first week.
The first week, doesn't matter to me. First week would have more impact likely. Okay, you got a resolution?
Yeah, I'm just looking at what that is. 1 second. November 25th to 29th. Okay, be it resolved that council approve the request made by YMCA Peterborough Halliburton for Desert to raise the Wrapped in Courage flag from November 25th to November 29th, 2024 to raise awareness about gender-based violence and to promote gender equality.
If we're saying a week, should we include the weekend if they're hoping for tourists to see these things, or is it a weekday?
It's up, we could take it down on the 2nd of November, of December.
Yeah.
What does council think?
We're getting tired.
Yeah.
We keep saying a week, so it's either a week or 5 days.
Do whatever week you want, just do a week.
Yeah.
Most places do say they'll only raise it and lower it during the weekdays, so I'll do December 2nd, 2024.
Yeah.
Okay, is that okay with council? I've amended it that it ends December 2nd.
Okay? Okay. Let's go ahead.
Okay, so we just need a mover and seconder.
Yeah. Barry and Nancy, all in favor? Carried. Okay, that's good. Thanks, Barbara. Okay, planning and information. Okay, there's Chris. Okay,
Thank you. I think the first couple are Jeff. Yeah, I think he's just waiting to get in here.
we agreed to this one in closed session last time, so it should just be a slam dunk.
Thank you. My apologies. I was having some connection difficulties. But as you mentioned, this is an application to renew an existing license of occupation. Council did review this request at their meetings in February, April, and September. At the meeting in September, Council directed staff to return to this meeting with a bylaw to authorize a one-year extension. So a bylaw is presented for Council's consideration with that criteria. Should you have any questions, let me know, but we do recommend approval of the bylaw.
Okay. The resolution in, Mallory?
Yep. Be it resolved that bylaw 2024-15, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of a license of occupation agreement with Kellett Halliburton Properties Limited, be read a first, second, and third time, pass, sign, the corporate seal attached thereto. Execution of the license agreement is to be deferred pending receipt of the signed agreement from the licensee, proof of insurance, and payment of the annual license fee for 2024.
Mover and seconder. Pat and Walt, all in favor? Carried. Okay.
Yes, the next item is the purpose of the report for the next item is to make corrections to a road closing bylaw and a deeming bylaw. As advised by the solicitor, these changes are needed to complete the registration process. The previous bylaws will be rescinded and subject to any questions council may have. Staff recommend approval of the updated bylaws.
Okay, what was the change then? Why did we have to change it?
Well, there was several, some administrative errors, clerical errors, referencing wrong road allowances that needed to be updated before they could register that
did
bylaw. I'd have to go back and look. I think it happened during staff training, but it ultimately falls on me.
Fair enough. I know you always take the blame. Okay. Okay, let's do something here. Resolution then, Valerie.
Be it resolved that bylaw 2024-96, which is a bylaw to stop up, close, and convey a portion of the original Shore Road allowance in front of Part Lot 16, Concession 8 in the geographic township of Harborne, and part of the road allowance for Curry Drive, Plan 352, in exchange for a road allowance for Curry Road, described as Part Lot 45, Plan 352, be read first, second, and third time, pass, sign, the corporate seal attached thereto, and be it resolved that bylaw 2024-97, which is a bylaw to deem Lot 45 registered Plan 352 in the Township of Harborne not to be within a plan of subdivision for the purpose of Section 50, subsection 3 of the Planning Act, as amended, be read a first, second, third time, pass, sign, the corporate seal attached thereto. This bylaw is intended to allow Lot 45, registered Plan 352, to merge with the Shore Road allowance, which has been closed and conveyed pursuant to bylaw 2024-96.
Okay, mover and seconder, Barry and Nancy, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, next, Brown Ridge.
That's right. So this is a new application. Mr. and Mrs. Brownridge have made application to purchase part of the Shore Road allowance in front of their property on Tedious Lake. They would like to own to the water's edge to clear title to the location of their cottage and boathouse, which are located on the Shore Road allowance. Given the date of constructions of those buildings, their locations are recognized by the official plan. There are two structures, being a woodshed and a carport located on the Shore Road allowance, which do not comply with the minimum water setback. They have not been assessed, there's no building permits, and their locations are not recognized by the official plan. So a condition has been recommended that those structures be removed or brought into compliance with the zoning bylaw. Subject to any questions, staff seek direction to process this application.
Any questions? Okay. Resolution then, Mallory.
Be it resolved that council approves for processing an application by William and Eleanor.
Can't hear you now.
Sorry?
You're all
What'd you say,
muffled.
Mary? I'm muffled. I'll move closer. Be it resolved that council approves for processing an application by William and Eleanor Brownridge to purchase a portion of the shore road allowance along the shore of Tedious Lake in front of their property at part lot 16 and 17, concession 9, in the geographic township of Guilford. Pursuant to section 3.2.7 of the official plan, the woodshed and covered vehicle structure shall be removed or brought into compliance with the zoning bylaw. These lands are declared surplus.
I think you did a good job there, but we couldn't hear a word you said.
I don't know why it does that.
I'm still muffled. We still can't.
Now we can hear it.
You can hear me now?
Repeat that.
Okay. I
Is it
don't
good?
know. I'll try it again, eh? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Be it resolved that council approves for processing an application by William and Eleanor Brownridge to purchase a portion of the shore road allowance along the shore of Tedious Lake in front of their property at part lot 16 and 17, concession 9, in the geographic township of Guilford. Pursuant to section 3.2.7 of the official plan, the woodshed and cover for vehicle structure shall be removed or brought into compliance with the zoning bylaw. These lands are declared surplus.
Okay, mover and seconder. Barry and Carm, all in favor? Barry. Okay. Next, that Jeff, or who's next?
Yep, it's still me. This next application is an application by Mrs. Lee to purchase a portion of the shore road allowance along Claxon Lake. It should be noted for council that there has been an update to this application since the agenda was published. The agenda report outlines that Mrs. Lee is applying to purchase the shore road allowance for the entire lake, which fronts her property. We've been advised that they have amended their request and are now asking council just to purchase 300 feet of shore road allowance only. And that location of the 300 feet that they are requesting to purchase is the location of the encroaching buildings. So if council would like staff to come back with a new report, we can. However, I do think we should be able to explain that sufficiently going forward, if you'd still like to proceed.
So Murray, I'm familiar with this, obviously, because it's in my ward, and I get tons of complaints about this. So when Carl finally got allowed on the property with respect to the garage and the boathouse, he told him bluntly, he's not tearing this down. He's not doing, it's just everything's staying. And obviously we don't allow a boathouse. And I'm getting tons of pushback from 2 lakes below it or above it, 1 lake below it. Cause every month we offer them a $500 fine for being, not having it finished or resolved. And the people on those 3 lakes are willing to spend $500 a month to have their own boathouse.
Exactly.
So we need to do something here to get this resolved. I don't know how, but if not, everybody's just gonna put an illegal structure up on the shoreline road allowance and pay the $500 a month.
Well, the simple thing here, he's got 2 buildings on our property. Tell him to remove the buildings. And they can't come back on that and argue it because it's not their property. Do you think that's a plan, Jeff?
Yes, so the staff's current recommendation is to approve this subject to the removal of those buildings, but I guess I'm seeking direction from council. Do you still want to approve this for processing subject to removal of those buildings, or are you denying requesting this process subject to the removal of those until those buildings are
I
removed?
don't believe he's going to remove the buildings, so we are denying it.
Okay.
In my opinion.
I can read a resolution that denies it, if that works.
Okay.
Okay, and you can hear me currently?
Yes.
Okay. Be it resolved that council denies the application by Elaine Lee to purchase a portion of the shore road allowance along the shores of Claxton Lake, adjacent to the lands in lot 6, concession 9, lots 4 to 8, concession 10, and lots 5 and 6, concession 11 in the geographic township of Guilford, and further directs that the existing boathouse with covered porch and detached garage located on the shore road allowance shall be removed or moved into compliance with the zoning bylaw.
Good. That's good. Okay, mover and seconder. Carm, Pat, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Next.
This next item is also a new application.
Would. Okay.
I'm sorry?
I say I can't pronounce the name or I would.
Yeah. Miss Shumiga and Mr. Fuyarchuk have made application to purchase the shore road allowance in front of their property on Little Kinesis Lake. As per the report, the locations of the buildings, or at least the existing buildings, are recognized by policy, and staff have no particular concerns about this and request permission to process this application.
No issues. Okay, Mallory?
Be it resolved that council approves for processing an application by Ms. Shumiga and Mr. Fuyarchuk to purchase a portion of the shore road allowance along the shore of Little Kinesis Lake in front of part lot 21, concession 4, and further described as lot 11, plan 436 in the geographic township of Harborne. These lands are declared surplus.
Okay, mover and seconder. Carmen and Tammy, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, Camp Adelaide.
Okay, this is the next one is item 9F on the agenda, and it's for Camp Adelaide. The application is for the purpose of a lot addition that would sever a portion of land from the subject property identified as Camp Adelaide and convey to the benefiting lot known as the lands of Legros. For clarity, the proposed severance sketch was attached with the report, and staff recommend that council support the general principle of the proposed consent as submitted, subject to the conditions and comments received through the public review process.
Okay, I guess there's no capacity issues on Black Lake. There's not much on there.
No, and this is just taking lands from adjacent property, adding to make a more suitable lot, as they are smaller lots. So it's just increasing the size of the lot, but not creating any new lots.
Fair enough. Okay. Resolution then?
Be it resolved that council supports the general principle of a severance proposal for file number D00-SV-2024-009 lands of Camp Adelaide Limited, subject to the conditions outlined in the staff report.
Okay, resolution. Nancy and Walt, all in favor? Carried. Okay, next.
Okay, the next one is 9G on the agenda, and similar to the first one is the application is proposed a lot addition that would sever the lands from Camp Adelaide and convey to the benefiting lots known as lands of short to form a larger parcel, more suitable parcel, and staff recommend that council support the general principle of the proposed consent.
So we're just making the lots bigger, sure.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, resolution.
Be it resolved that council supports the general principle of a severance proposal for file number D00-SV-2024-010 lands of Camp Adelaide Limited, subject to the conditions outlined in the staff report.
Mover and seconder, Nancy and Barry, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. And this is item 9H. Similar to the first two is the application for the lot addition that will see Camp Adelaide sever a portion of their property to the benefiting lands known as the lands of Curtis. And staff recommend that council support the general principle as well.
Okay, mover and seconder. Nancy again and Carm, all in favor? Carried.
Do you want me to? I'll read it quickly too, but that's okay. I've got mover and seconder though. Be it resolved that council supports the general principle of a severance proposal for file number D00-SV-2024-011 Camp Adelaide Limited, subject to the conditions outlined in the staff report. And then I've got Nancy and Carm for a mover and seconder.
And it was carried. Okay, bylaw, this is the one we were looking for. Wouldn't be in discussion on this one. Cash in lieu parking facilities. Jeff?
Yeah, so the next item is an update to our cash in lieu of parking facilities bylaw, specifically the rates in that bylaw. I won't go through all the details, but the intent of cash in lieu in parking is to compensate the municipality for assuming the responsibility of providing parking when a landowner or a developer cannot meet the minimum parking requirements established in the zoning bylaw. Our bylaw has not been updated since 2015. The existing bylaw charges $1,000 per space in the villages and hamlets and $2,000 per space for water access parking. As per the report, the Director of Public Works estimates that the current cost to create a parking space is $4,000. Sorry, $4,000. This estimate is based on the final costing for the municipal parking lot out back adjacent to the arena, while also factoring in inflation. Staff did review other parking, cash in lieu of parking bylaws for surrounding municipalities. But the estimate, the recommendation is based on the estimate provided by the Director of Public Works. Based on these estimates, staff recommend the approval of the bylaw, which would set that cash in lieu of parking value at $4,000 per space within the villages and hamlets and $8,000 for water access parking. I assume there will be some questions and I'm happy to try and answer those.
No, I think we got down to the point where we thought we had to justify what it costs to do it, to make them. So that's where we are. So.
Just my own opinion, I know this is a more or less a feel for a set rate as I would think building different style of parking lots throughout the community is going to cost more or less, which we talked about. I do respect that the parking lot behind us here is, it's like, I'm going to say a top end parking lot on that note with curb and lighting and on it goes. So again, with no disrespect to the people that work the numbers, I don't view them being, as maybe fair as $4,000 on that note. My own opinion is $2,000 a parking spot keeps it, workable for new businesses moving to town, but also is a realization that the costs have come up since 2015. But again, like I mentioned, there's a hinge point in that if parking is too high, and even including the boat access stuff, people are going to either not develop nor want to park or pay for it at all on that note. So again, my own opinion is $2,000 on that, and that's kind of where I'm at with it. So
I'll agree with that. I think $2,000's enough at this point I don't want to discourage any, like Pat says, any businesses. The lake one, we were gonna put it to 8, right? Which is really steep, I think. I don't know. I'd say we kind of put it along the same lines as the parking one.
agree with that. Double it.
Double it from what it was. Yes.
So it'd be 4 now.
Yes.
Yeah. 2 and 4. Well.
Well, I don't think it should be 2. I think it should be at least 3. And if it's 4,000 to build a parking spot, probably should be 4. Taxpayers are going to be basically compensating this amount of money to build these parking spots. So we shouldn't be. We got a lot of expenses here, and our downtown area is really hurting for parking, needless to say, and we're going to have to spend some money. So my number is no lower than 3,000.
Any other comments? Yeah.
Yeah, the one thing I'd just like to point out for council's consideration, in the instance of the municipal parking lot out back, we didn't need to acquire land to build those spaces either. So it's something that should be factored in if we are looking to create more parking in town. In some instances, we may be required to acquire the land and then build the spaces too.
Any other comments?
I agree with the 2,000. Doubling the price in 1 year is, I think, more than ample. And if we want to look at it and keep doing it, but I agree, I don't want to discourage business from coming here. Because for them to find parking, they would have to go out of town.
I kind of agree the same as Tammy. If we double it this year and we define it next year, we need to have a capital project. We can found with some land, then we can always readjust it and change it for the following year, what the cost should be.
Or maybe you'd have 2 different rates, one if you acquire land and one if
Yeah.
you don't.
At least it's a starting point. We're getting something more out of it.
Okay.
As a middle ground if we did carry 2 grand for the end of our term and maybe make it that we review it after that. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but anyway.
Okay, that's not nice. It's okay, though. Okay, so we've, so the consensus is those in favor of 2 grand? So that's carried, Walt, okay, so, have a resolution.
And then what about would you just, so the way it's done right now is that it's double that for the water access parking?
Yeah,
So would it be 4,000 for water access?
Yeah.
Okay, so we can pass this bylaw today as amended. Is council in agreement with that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, be it resolved that bylaw 2024-98 being a bylaw to establish a rate for cash in lieu of parking facilities, be read a first, second, and third time passed, signing the corporate seal attached thereto, as amended to reduce the Halliburton Village parking rate to $2,000 and the water access parking to $4,000.
Okay, mover and seconder, Barry and Pat, all in favor? Carried, thank you. You want a recorded vote? Well, you should ask for it first, but anyway, go ahead. You wanna vote against it? You wanna register a vote against it? Okay.
Okay, just wait 1 sec, Walt. I'll just pull up there's an order I have to read it in, so just give me a second. I'm pulling her up. And then please just say yes or no, because yay and nay is too hard to hear. Okay, so Counselor Boyce.
You have to, we all have to vote, yay or
Yes.
nay.
Yes.
Yes.
Counselor Casey,
Yes.
Counselor Donaldson,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McKechnie,
No.
Counselor Sawyer,
Yes.
Counselor Wood Roberts,
Yes.
and Mayor Ferry.
Yeah.
I didn't catch yours, Murray.
Yes.
Yes, okay, perfect. That carries. Okay.
They haven't had a meeting since the last council.
Yeah, nothing to report either, Murray.
Murray, your mic's not on right now, by the way, or it's run out of battery again.
Hi, Rails End had their AGM and they have a few new people into their officer positions. They're doing an exhibition in December and it's working with youth in the community. So that's very exciting. It's in collaboration with the school board, the county, the youth hub, and Rails End. So that's a busy time for them and it's a very productive time, inclusive of everyone in the community. And they're doing some art weaving as well. And on their website, they have a large calendar of events and things that are happening. So it's a good spot to visit.
It's a busy spot. Okay, any discussion on that? Okay, resolution then, Mallory?
Sure. Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the October 2024 Rails and Gallery and Art Center report.
Mover and seconder, Nancy and Carm, all in favor? Carried. BIA.
Murray met with the BIA there. They're all excited about the Santa Claus parade coming up.
Yeah,
Which
they
has had a
should be,
great,
yeah.
great turnout and success last year. And again, thanks to all the volunteers and everybody that made that happen. Also, I do believe that the BIA's got their new website up and rolling. So anyways, I haven't been on it to confirm that yet. But anyways, from what I heard, it looks pretty great. So.
Okay, any questions or discussion for Pat? Okay, resolution then, Mallory?
Okay, be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the minutes from the June 25th, 2024 Downtown Halliburton BIA Board of Management meeting as information.
Mover and seconder. Pat and Walt, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Harvest Halliburton.
Maria finally met with them. It was 4 people in total there, but they got a lot going on. It's U-Links and anyways, it's a very interesting group. I'm again getting my head wrapped around more and more what they do and what it entitles on that note. But anyways, I'll bring more of a detailed report. We're going to meet once every quarter, every 4 months. So as that continues to roll out, I'll bring council forward.
I'm glad that they're moving. Like,
Yeah, you bet. They're back in the game. I guess they were shut down for a while there because of COVID, but now they're
up and going.
up and going. You bet.
Good. Kawartha Halliburton Source Product Walt.
Yep. Nothing to report now, but there's some meetings coming up in the future.
Good. Upper Trent,
No meetings.
no meeting. Okay. I guess the resolution to go into close then.
Be it resolved that council adjourn its regular meeting at 11:48 a.m. to discuss matters pursuant to section 239, subsection 2 of the Municipal Act as amended pertaining to 1, the proposed acquisition of land in the township of Dysart, which is in Halliburton Village. 2, a proposed disposition of land in the township of Dysart, which is an original road allowance disposition. And 3, a proposed disposition of land in the township of Guilford, which is another original road allowance disposition.
Okay, mover and seconder. Tammy and Pat, all in favor? Carried. Okay, so we're, well, yeah, we're going to take 5 minutes here. Okay.
Okay, so
Okay.
we have a report to open here. Be it resolved that council approves the estimate of market value by John Parrish dated September 17th, 2024, with respect to the original allowance for road between part lot 28 and 29, concession 13, and further described as part 5 and part of the road allowance for Boyce's Road, plan 619, further described as part 6 on the preliminary plan of prepared by Bishop Guyer Surveying, Township of Guilford, Municipality of Dysart et al. The purchase price is set at 13,000.
Mover and seconder. Nancy and Pat, all in favor? Carried. Any notices of motion? Being none. Confirming bylaw.
Okay, be it resolved that bylaw 2024-100 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular council meeting held on October 22nd, 2024, be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and the corporate seal attached thereto.
Mover and seconder. Pat and Walt, all in favor? Carried. Adjournment.
Be it resolved that council adjourn its regular meeting held on October 22nd, 2024 at 12:11 p.m.
Mover and seconder. Tammy and who else? You don't want to leave.
Tammy and who?
I'm not sure. There-
Anyone else?
Yeah, Carm.